government they can be proud of. A government worthy of this great province. There are many people who have worked long and hard to make this campaign a success. I would like to thank each and every one of you, but a few special thank yous are in order. I want to first thank my family for their support throughout this campaign. I could not have done it without them. I also want to thank the NDP in Selkirk, who did such a fine job, who left me free to travel Manitoba throughout this entire campaign. Thanks also to the provincial executive and to our party president, Bill Regier. To the provincial secretary and his wonderful staff, John Walsh. To the election planning committee and its co-chairpersons, Willie Perezouk and Eugene Costera. And also a special thank you to the finest candidates we've ever nominated. And boy, we've got talent there. And I'm sure that every candidate was not elected because I'm sorry that every candidate was not elected because all of them fought so very, very well, and they deserve to win. To the thousands of New Democrats who sacrificed for this campaign, who took our message to the doorsteps, on the job, and through the phone campaign. To the New Democrats elsewhere in Canada who gave such excellent moral and organizational support. To the hundreds of thousands of Manitobans who gave us their support, I thank you. Hard work has brought us this victory, but now the real hard work commences. Manitobans have given us a mandate to rebuild the provincial economy and to provide the basis for the best quality of life in Canada. It will take the talent, the energy, the commitment, the discipline to fulfill that mandate. I know we can do it. We have built a strong democratic movement in this province, and we now must redouble our efforts in order to make sure that the Manitoba NDP grows stronger and remains open and democratic. The tasks we face are difficult, but that will make each achievement more glorious and more sweet. It is now up to us to make sure that that victory is for all Manitobans. And my friends, it will be done. This is a great province with a great future. Thank you and good night.
hard work before us. I'd like to thank Mr. Pauley, our Premier, on behalf of all of us. Mr. Pauley now has to go, and I would ask you to give us safe passage through this crowd, and you'll see much more of him in the next 4 years to come. Thank you, and good night.
Solidarity forever.
From Bob in just a few seconds. We'll get back to him. Just a few minutes ago, I can't let this pass, Paul. You made the observation that while the Premier-elect came into the headquarters through the back door, he certainly came through the political front door tonight.
Yes, it's a grand occasion for Howard Pauley tonight. I can remember when we covered together, I think, Bill, the NDP convention when he was elected. He seemed to be dwelling a lot then upon the Schreier record, but I think he's escaped the ghost of Ed Schreier now, as Phil was saying earlier. He's in charge of a government now. He's clearly in charge of his party, and he has to set to work to put a team in place to run government. And so he's got some decisions to make as he comes down from the euphoria of tonight's victory.
By the way, gentlemen, there's an interesting situation in Thompson. We've already had a recount in that riding. One poll only. 33 polls out of 34 polls had reported, and one poll was in fact recounted. There is only one poll yet to come in Thompson, and Steve Ashton, the Democrat there, is 73 votes ahead of Ken McMaster.
Again, Judy, I think we're looking at a possible judicial recount in Thompson.
This is
I think that seat will be close enough.
The sole poll that has not yet reported in is a mail-in poll, and apparently it's located at a hospital somewhere in the Thompson riding. And I would assume that they're trying to get hold of that poll now to count it, because there still is that one poll. And
poor Steve Ashton can't partake in all the celebrations. He's hanging on there, waiting to hear what his own fate will be.
Should be interesting. By the way, Paul, as well, we have been sitting here while watching Mr. Pauley make his victory speech, and we've been putting together something of a cabinet for Mr. Pauley. He's got a large choice of people to choose from here.
You know, we political scientists are always ready to give gratuitous advice.
Let's take a look at Thompson.
Oh, here we go with Thompson. What are the totals there?
There we are, the 73-vote lead with Steve Ashton. That one poll still to come in. One poll out of those 33 polls were apparently recounted. There was some confusion about the counting, so they went back over that one poll and came out with Steve Ashton ahead by 73 votes. It's very tight. Ken McMaster has been seesawing back and forth all evening.
A party elected with such a large number of members as the NDP has been tonight is faced with an odd kind of problem. What do you do with the wealth of backbench material you have at your disposal for forming a cabinet? And I think we can say with some certainty that whatever cabinet is ultimately created, there will be hurt feelings. And one of the first tests of Mr. Pauley's skill at managing his own caucus will be the extent to which he'll minimize these hurt feelings and at the same time make effective appointments that will help him carry out his government's goals in the next 4 years.
Because in fact there are some long-time New Democrat members of the legislature who may be passed over for newer members.
Sure. Judy, gentlemen, we're going to the PC headquarters now, and here's Bill Moran. Bill?
We're standing by waiting for the Premier to come. I believe he's just heading into the entranceway now. Yes, we can just see him. We can just see him coming through the entranceway right now. We've been told that the Premier will be coming into the center floor area here. There's a round of applause for him right now. Premier, in front of the Premier, Senator Nate Nergitz. The Premier is heading in our direction with his wife. I believe the Premier will be making a statement now from the floor. Mr. Premier, right here?
I'm going to stand. If you'll stand back, I'll be his chair.
Oops. Sorry about it. The Premier will be making a statement to the large gathering that is gathered here.
Okay, are you here? Well, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank you, first of all, and any of the candidates who are here tonight for coming out and for being at Election Central at the time of the receipt of the election news. Thank you all for being here. My first words tonight to you and to the people of Manitoba are sincere words of congratulation to Howard Pauley and to the New Democrats for their victory tonight. It was a tough-fought campaign. It was a campaign that many of us thought was going to be closer than it was, but the popular vote of some 47% to 44% is there for all to see. And we accept the victory of the New Democrats as the will of the people, and will work in cooperation with Mr. Pauley and his colleagues to ensure that there is a civil and an orderly transfer of the reins of government in Manitoba, as indeed there must always be in our parliamentary system. The parliamentary system, Canada and Manitoba are bigger than any one political party. And I say that to all of the supporters of our party, and I say that in particular to all of the supporters of the New Democratic Party, that they should remember that the country, that the province, and that the parliamentary democratic system are more important than their party and our party. And in consequence of that, we have participated tonight in the freest demonstration that we can give, not only within our country, but to the world, that we are a free society and that we allow people in this province and in this country to do what only a minority of people can do on the face of this earth, that is, to freely choose their own representatives, to change their own governments without revolution, and to do it in a civil way, which has been part, really, of our history for over 100 years, part of our inherited history for well over 1,000 years. And of that, we can take some pride, and I know that the members of the New Democratic Party will be as happy in that fact as I am, win or lose. I have been heard to say, and I believe it very, very firmly, that better politicians than I have lost elections. I can think of one immediately, Winston Churchill. He lost in 1945, and he came thundering back in 1951 to put Britain back on track. Closer to home, I think of John Diefenbaker, who knew how to win and who knew how to lose. And I think that really that is the essence of being a good parliamentarian. You've got to be able to win, and you've got to be able to lose, and you've got to do both with dignity. Within the next few days, we will be handing over the reins of government to those whom the people have selected tonight to be their new government. But I can tell you that we can hand over those reins confident in the fact that government has been well run for the last 4 years in this province. And my friends, confident as well, that those opportunities which lie just over the horizon to be grasped by the government and by the people of Manitoba, the mega projects, the things that can lift this province and give it a kind of an unparalleled movement into the future are there. And we want to assist the new government to achieve and to grasp those opportunities because they're good for all Manitobans for all time. My final words tonight are really the ones that should have prefaced my remarks tonight. My final words tonight are to thank Barbara, my wife, and my family for all and my mother for all that they have done to sustain me over the many, many elections that I have been in. We're not quite as accustomed to losing as we are to winning, but we know that you've got to do both. And I thank them for the support that they have given me, because without them, really, no individual could carry on in the way that you have to carry on, whether as leader of the opposition or premier or whatever. Secondly, I want to thank all of the 57 candidates who ran in this election on behalf of the Conservative Party. I'm very proud of them. And thirdly, I want to thank all of you in this room and the thousands of men and women throughout Manitoba who contributed and worked very hard to the success of our campaign in Manitoba today. Sure, we didn't win the election, that's true, but we have 23, 24 seats, whatever it may be. We have new blood in the party, and they're going to be an excellent party to carry on and to make sure that the government governs better than perhaps might ordinarily be the case. I have always said, and I said this when I became the Premier of Manitoba, a good opposition makes a better government. Well, I can tell you tonight that if good government depends on having a good opposition, Manitoba can be guaranteed it'll have a better government. Now there is work to be done. Manitoba is still first and foremost in my heart and in my mind and in the heart and mind of those whom you elected on our behalf tonight. And I know in the hearts and the minds of those who have been newly elected to what will soon be the new government of Manitoba. We live, as I have said throughout my term of office as Premier and will continue to say, in one of the finest provinces in Canada. It will be our job, and it will be the job of the New Democrats to make sure that we keep it that way over the next 4 years. Thank you, and good night.
Would you permit a question?
One question,
Just your immediate plans.
My immediate plans are to have a meeting with the Cabinet tomorrow and to have a discussion about what took place, and then eventually, I expect I'll be meeting with Mr. Pauley sometime tomorrow or the next day, and we'll get the transitional things in place, and that's it.
You've assured Howard Pauley of an orderly transfer?
As indeed we did. We had an orderly transfer from the Shire government, yes.
To what do you attribute this loss, Mr. Lyon?
Well, we didn't get enough votes.
Beyond the obvious, sir.
No, that's about it. That's about all you can say. The Liberal vote disappeared. And the NDP popular vote went from, what, 39 to 47%. Ours went from 49 to 44, 45%. And we'll have to do some study of the figures and so on. My one regret in a provincial sense is that the vote does seem to be polarized. Rural against urban, and that's unfortunate for Manitoba. We had overcome that polarization pretty much in the last election, but it seems to be rearing its ugly head again, and that's unfortunate for Manitoba because we're all Manitobans, whether we live outside of Winnipeg or Brandon or inside of Winnipeg, and we all are responsible really to the province in the same way. And the fact that the vote seems to have broken down largely on a Winnipeg versus a non-urban basis is unfortunate. But I think we must work all the harder to ensure that people stay together.
In 1977, then Ed Schreier said that he was not really cut out for opposition. What are your feelings given that your government has been defeated?
Well, I would never say I was not cut out for opposition. I was leader of the opposition and defeated Ed Schreier. So, you know, I've worked in both offices, and I don't make any predictions about how long I will be in other offices in the future, or whether, as John Diefenbaker used to say and Churchill used to say, I might well be back.
So you based your campaign on investor confidence. Do you think that has been eroded now? Do you think that has been lost in the next 4 years?
No, I think it's far too early to say. I think that if you can get a new democratic socialist government that acts responsible, then that can happen. But let's wait and see.
Do you have any particular concerns about the mega projects now that there is a new government in office?
Well, I have some concerns in this sense that we have brought these negotiations up to a point now where in 3 instances they're almost ready to be signed. I'll be discussing with Mr. Pauley and his people what the status of these negotiations is. I hope for the sake of Manitoba that they can carry them through, because they are the biggest opportunity that this province has had in our history to raise our economic eyes from our bootstraps and get on with the building of this province in a way that was never thought possible before. And I only hope that the new government can grasp and catch some of that vision and that opportunity that is there.
Did you base too much of your campaign perhaps on the mega projects?
Well, we'll go into discussions about, we'll let all the pundits talk about that another time.
Thank you.
There you have it. Sterling Lyon is now leaving the ballroom, and I imagine he'll be, as he said, he'll be sitting down tomorrow to discuss the transition of power with his cabinet. At this point, we just aren't certain what's going to take place. So that's it from Progressive Conservative headquarters for the time being.
Yes, thank you, Bill.